This is Benjamin from English Classes Online. Today's lesson is on being versus being in English. Learn the differences between being and being. Let's dive into it right away with a quick look at the lesson objectives. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to, 1, explain the differences between being and being. 2, explain the various uses of being. 3, explain the various uses of being. So let's look at this, beginning with the differences between being and being. You know, a lot of people get confused as to what actually are the differences between being and being. Being is the past participle of the verb to be or the verb be, and it is used to indicate that an action or state has occurred in the past. As a past participle, being is used to form the present perfect tense when you say have or has been, and the past perfect tense had been. Let's look at some examples. I have been to London. The speaker has gone to London at some point in the past. That's what it means. I had been to New York before I went to London. The action of going to New York was first completed before the action of going to London. So when you use the past participle had with been, and then you have had been, then of course you are referring to two actions in the past, or what we call past in the past. And then you are referring specifically to the first action that came before the other. Now let's look at being, B-E-I-N-G. This is the present participle of the verb to be or the verb be, and it is used to indicate a state or action that is currently happening or an action in progress at the time of speaking. Now, as a present participle, being is used to form the present continuous tense. Let's look at some examples. I am being careful. The speaker is currently in the state of being careful. Okay. Jane is being nice to the beggar. Being nice to the beggar. Of course, I should add also that you can use that to probably talk about, you can use it also with you can use it with, you know, in a passive sentence. For example, you can say, you know, I am being taken to the new site. I am being taken to the new site. So that's one more example I want you to see. So if you put I am being taken to the new site. So that's another example I want us to see here. You know, in this case, being is used together with a past participle, in a passive sentence. A passive sentence is a sentence in which the subject is being acted upon, or the subject is the receiver of the action. Here, I am not taking someone to the new site. I am the one whom someone is taking to the site. So I am being taken to the new site. That's another thing I want you to see about this. Okay, so let's clear it and then move on. Now, let's begin to look at uses and examples of each of these. We want to start with being, B-E-E-N. Let's look at uses and examples. Being is always used in the formation of the present perfect tense, have or has been, and the past perfect tense had been, as earlier mentioned. Have been, has been, and had been are all forms of the verb to be that indicates a past perfect aspect. Okay. Of course, some can be present perfect. This is specifically past perfect. These two for present perfect. Okay. So I want you to see it specifically. This and this are present perfect, while this is used for the past perfect. Okay. Now, using been in the present perfect, let's begin with the present perfect. The present perfect tense expresses an action that occurred at an unspecified time in the past or began in the past and continues to the present. Okay. Have been, let's begin with have been. Have been is the present perfect form of to be, and it is used for the first and third person plural subjects, indicating that an action was completed in the past and has relevance to the present. Let's take some examples. I have been to Kenya twice. We have been to that restaurant many times. Then has been. Has been is the present perfect form of to be and is used for the third person singular subjects. Example, he has been to that restaurant many times. Then let's look at using been in the present perfect continuous. The present perfect continuous tense expresses an action that started in the past and it is continuing even at the time of speaking. Examples, I have been working for 3 hours. I am still working. Okay. What we use here is working. I'm still working now. Okay. Okay. So let's now look at another example. Rose has been sleeping since morning. She is still sleeping now. Okay. So then we have the children have been playing since 9 o'clock. They are still playing as we speak. Okay. Let's move on to uses and more uses and examples of being. We want to look at using been in the past perfect. The past perfect tense is used to show that an action was completed before a specific point in the past. And the form we use is had been. Example, by the time the policemen arrived, the passengers had been taken away by the bandits. Two actions took place in the past: the arrival of the policemen and the taking away of the passengers by the bandits. All right. And the first one that took place was the taking away of the passengers by the bandits, and that's why we use the past perfect tense. The passengers had been taken away. That's one way of using been in the past perfect tense. Then using been in the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense expresses an action that happened for a given period of time prior to a specific point in the past. For example, by the time the guests arrived, the party had been going on for an hour. You know, the party had been in progress for an hour before the guests arrived. Okay. We can also use been in the passive voice. Okay. For example, the cake has been eaten. Has been eaten. That is passive. The project has been completed. That's the passive voice as well. And then this brings us to being, B-E-I-N-G. And we want to look at the uses and examples. Being is the present participle of the verb be and can be used with the continuous form of the verb be in all its forms, such as am, is, was, are, and were. For example, am being, is being, are being, was being, and were being are all forms of the verb to be that indicate a progressive or continuous aspect. These progressive forms are generally used to describe an action that is ongoing or in progress at the time being referred to, whether in the present or in the past. They are often used to describe a temporary situation or condition rather than a permanent one. Let's begin with am being. Am being is the present progressive form of to be, and it is used to indicate that an action is currently in progress. For example, I am being taken to the new site as we speak. Okay, that was the example we gave earlier. Then is being is similar. The only difference is. Let's take the example, the cake is being baked in the oven. Then we have are being, okay? For example, the cakes are being baked in the oven. What was being, this is the past progressive form of the verb to be, all right? And it indicates that an action, was in progress at a specific time in the past. For example, the injured passenger was being placed in an ambulance when I arrived. Then were being, it refers to the plural, okay? For example, the injured passengers were being placed in an ambulance when I arrived. Then let's look at the uses and examples. We use being for temporary things happening now in the passive. So you talk of am, is, or are being with passive sentences. As you may also know, the present continuous tense is used to describe temporary things or things that are happening right now. The passive voice is used when a sentence focuses on the person who experienced an action, not the person who carried out the action. Let's look at some examples. I am being interviewed by a team of journalists. The convict is being taken to the prison. The people are being told to leave their homes because of the storm. So that is exactly Then you can also have the road is being extended. These are all passive forms. Hundreds of people are being killed in the war. Then let's look at other uses and examples. We can use being for temporary things in progress at a given time in the past. You use was or were being with passive sentences. All right. The passive continuous tense is used to describe temporary things or things that were in progress at a given time in the past. The passive voice is used when a sentence focuses on the person who experienced an action, not the person who carried out the action. For example, now let's look at examples. By 10 a.m. yesterday, I was being interviewed by a team of journalists in front of the State House. The reporter called in to inform us that the convict was being taken to the prison. So I want you to take note of this: was being interviewed, was being taken. You see, so these are examples, okay? People were being told to leave their homes because of the storm. We are being, okay? So the same thing here, we are being told or was being extended. The road was being extended. Hundreds of people were being killed in the war. Okay? Now, still on uses and examples of being, we can use being to talk about temporary situations, okay? We use am, is, or are being with adjectives. That's another aspect of its usage. We use being with adjectives. If you want to talk about the way that someone is acting only temporarily, you need to use is being. In this case, you are not talking about someone's personality or general characteristics, but they are temporary actions or temporary situations. Let's look at examples. I am being too careless this day. Being too careless. So you are using being with adjective, an adjectival phrase. The convict is being taken to the prison. Well, this is a different, this one is really not with an adjective, but we earlier saw this example. So, okay. Let's look at another example, which is Henry is being stupid. Stupid is an adjective. So this is a temporary situation. It doesn't mean that Henry is stupid all the time, but in this particular situation, it's just a temporary situation. He was temporarily stupid at that point in time. The children are being very loud. This may not describe their usual behavior, but in this particular instance, they are being very loud. Hundreds of people are being killed in the war. Well, we earlier saw this, okay? But here we want to look at only examples that have to do with combination with adjectives. Okay. And this brings us to the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, make sure you like the video and share it with your friends and relations. See you in the next class. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you